Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about what neural retraining is, because I know for so many people out there, this is still an unknown. They've never encountered this before and it's unusual. So let's get into that and demystify it. So, neural retraining harnesses the power of neuroplasticity, which is your brain's capacity to be rewired, basically to change its neural connections. And this ability underlies all types of learning that we do as humans. Our brains are actually constantly being rewired in big ways and small ways by our experience of life, right? Our brains are doing that based on how we are using them in our everyday life and what we're encountering. But we now have techniques to direct that process for the outcome we want to have. And that is extremely exciting, an amazing scientific development. And that is what neural retraining is. It is a set of techniques that can rewire the brain to produce more of what we want it to produce. So we can retrain our neurology to produce all manner of different thought patterns that we would rather have, different emotional reaction to any given circumstance, and different skills and behaviors that align with how we want to show up in our lives. And that's what is happening neurologically when we are practicing any new skill set, like learning to surf, for example. Each time we practice, our brain creates more and stronger neural connections for the data acquired about how to surf. And then with enough practice, the skills involved in surfing become more and more and more automatic. And eventually, we don't really even have to think about what we're doing when we're surfing or really try so hard. It just happens more fluidly, more naturally, more automatically. And this can happen with emotional and nervous system states, thought patterns, and other types of behaviors as well. And, I think one of the most amazing examples of neural retraining is actually stroke victims who have lost an entire bodily function, right? Like gripping their right hand from the death of certain neurons in the brain involved in that action. But we have now discovered that these folks can actually regain their grip function in their right hand through neural retraining. And what happens is a nearby part of the brain actually takes over for the function of the part of the brain that died. And different neurons now start producing this action of gripping the hand. So, in the context of producing better health on all levels, the most important outcome of rewiring the brain is to stop it from producing survival responses, i.e., fight, flight, or freeze, in situations that are not truly life-threatening, which is what those survival responses were designed for. So, the reason this is the most important outcome to improve your health is because these survival responses are how the brain can derail all aspects of our health, mental, emotional, and physical. And while these survival states originate most often in the survival centers in the brain, they get communicated through the autonomic nervous system to all the tissues and organs of the body, as well as to the other parts of the brain, and alter their function in many actually quite dramatic ways. So being in a survival state can produce anxiety, depression, all manner of negative emotional states, fatigue, digestive dysfunction, immune imbalance and dysfunction, impaired detoxification, cardiovascular issues like arrhythmia, high or low blood pressure, tachycardia, bradycardia, muscle tension, chronic pain, bladder dysfunction, hormonal imbalances, cognitive dysfunction, and a lot more. So I know that sounded like a long list, but it's not even the extent of it. So let me give you some common examples of where the brain has missed perceived threat and is producing survival responses in error. And these are our stress reactions that we have to things like work deadlines, parenting, social media posts, the news, our own symptoms, our own bodily appearance, right? In the case of body image issues, feeling not good enough, unworthy, or imperfect, and reactions to innocuous circumstances in the present that remind us of our past. And the list could go on and on and on. As you might imagine from this list, most people today are actually living with a dysregulated nervous system because the brain has gotten confused about what is truly dangerous in our modern lives. And it's no coincidence that today, 75 to 90% of all doctor's visits are due to a stress related ailment. Yeah, that's a huge number. So, as we rewire the neurological roots of our stress patterning, we actually give the brain clarity around what is and is not a true threat. And then those unnecessary stress reactions stop repeating themselves in our daily lives, and our nervous systems are able to remain calm and regulated more of the time. And as this happens, nearly all manner of health conditions and symptoms improve because our physiology changes, and it changes in ways that are super, super health promoting. In some cases, that is all that is needed to truly heal a health condition. And I have seen that over and over and over again. In other cases, there may be some other steps that need to be taken for complete healing. But all of the other treatments that one might need to resolve other physiological stressors causing the illness will work better in the context of a more regulated nervous system and therefore more optimized bodily function. So I hope that that makes sense. And this little introduction to neural retraining really clicked for you. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on how neural retraining works in my next video, but thanks for listening.